Howdy, and welcome back to another video. This time we're working on the Corolla again. Let's look at that backside. Anyway, so I'm finally getting around to trying to finish my Ford 8.8 rear axle mounts and stuff like that. So let's just look at everything real quick and brief summary of what we're trying to do. Here's the Ford 8.8 that I shortened. I'm probably still gonna spend a little work where I cut areas out and truncated because I feel like I could fill in some spots. But that's the axle stripped down. I still haven't got, or the axle housing, whatever. I still haven't gotten another axle to go over there, but that one used to be there. So I just need one more of those to go back there. So yeah, there's all that stuff. What we're looking at here is the axle out of the car. As you can kind of tell there, let's give you a proper look. I have this thing zeroed out 90 degrees or flat compared to how it sits, so that's level. So now what I need to do is get my measurement for this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing, and that thing. So that's my first task. Again, document, get those measurements. I need to get the angle, and I need to get the distances. And I'm going to be smart, and I've given a very wonderful sketch of the rear axle. But as you see, point here, perch, point of mount, panhard bar, point of mount, perch. I don't know if I actually need the perches. I'll figure that out later, but I am going to try and write it all down just so I'm like, okay, we're good. So not only do I need the measurements, I need to make sure I have it centered or whatever. So I might do some measurements of measuring from the drum over or something. I don't know. This is beyond my normal skill level because I am not a perfectionist, so I need to measure these all correctly multiple times. So let me get measurements and then we'll come back with the data that we gathered. I fully unboxed the Techno-Toy tuning kit. You got the part of the link set up there with the strut mount little plate there. More of the link, like that part, but there. Panhard bar mount and the other two things we just covered over there. So I've taken some measurements. Friend's artwork. Anyway, so the upper link mounts were 48.4, 48.2. The lower was 88.3 each going down. Panhard was pretty much 90, but 89.2. Then with the measurements from inside to inside, 19.25. From shock bolt, the center to the center was 44.5. From the plate that the shock mount goes up to, from the inside to the inside was 38.3 or 0.75, whatever. From the center bolt on the panhard bar to the same edge here was about 5 3/8. And my attempts at trying to make sure I can get everything kind of positioned from the center bolt on the strut mounts. One side was 10 7/16, the other was 10 3/8. So pretty close. I mean, and that's all probably within margin of error, but I'm going to try and match as much as I can. So yeah, there's that. So what I'm going to do next is get this set up to start being worked on what I'm gonna do, just so I can have kind of the same height measurements, I'm gonna take this axle, because I don't need the angles anymore, take it off, put it off to the side. I'll probably break it down, like remove the tires and brakes and such, so I can get more measurements for centering. But I'm going to take this off, put it on some different jack stands, and yeah, start getting all this junk set up, and we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. Hooray! And we are back. Where we left off, I am not sure, but we're just going to go from here. So, took a little flap disc, got rid of a lot of surface rust. It's still kind of dirty, but I feel like I'm probably going to have this sandblasted once the mounts are on, welded up securely, and the gears are removed from the housing. So here's where we're at. Kind of clean. Still got the breather valve, got the little brake holder thing. I might still have to remove those. I haven't figured that out yet, or if I care to, whatever. But here's where we're at. And here is my measurements. So it all appears to be symmetrical. So I removed there we go. The Ford center is 16 3/8. So I took my measurements based on that. So I subtracted it from like overall distance, things like that. So what we have is from the edge of the housing, the upper little plates or mounts, 1 7/16 to that edge. Give or take, there's a little bit of loosey-goosey there because the metal on the new brackets is thicker. So I'm going to try and keep that in mind. Then from here to where the shock mounts, we're at 14 1/16, like where the shock mount is. But then the bracket that holds like an arm or whatever to the edge is 11 3/16. And from that edge, going from there to about the center of the bolt is 5 3/8. So what I'm going to do is go through, mark it all up on the axle, and start trying to get things tacked in place. I'll still have to figure out how I'm going to do the actual shock mounts, because I know the distance, and I also know how far it is from the ground based on the jack stands I have it on. But, you know, that's kind of where we're at. There's going to be a lot of just tacks, hoping it's in place. I'm hoping to tack it enough that maybe I could test fit it, but that would be another time. For now, we're just focused on, hey, getting these brackets on there. So yeah, I'm going to do measurements and start kind of getting things in place. We'll be back with something. And we are back with artwork, numbers, music, but you don't get to hear any of it because, you know, copyrights, yada yada. But we have everything now tacked in place, and we're not going to zoom in too much on the welds because this ain't a welding channel and I am not good at it yet. Long story short, I shake, so I'm never going to have perfect welds, but I'll eventually get better at laying down something that I feel great about that doesn't require grinding. This is not one of those cases. So all brackets are in within 0.1 or 0.2 of a degree and like 1/16 of an inch, give or take, because the brackets, all the metal here is thicker than what came off the car. So there's a little bit of, hey, let's shift this over, have it be, you know, about the same position, yada yada. The only problem I saw in is the panhard bar mount. I didn't get to have it as far over, but I know that I'll be having, again, adjustable panhard bar. So I have it at about the right degree, like 89.2 based off of this being at 90 and my concrete. it's in the ballpark. So what I'm also, side note, I had to finally remove the breather valve, or the whatever breather nipple. So I took a bolt, trimmed it down, screwed it in, ground it down, and then welded over it to seal it up, and then ground it down again to make it kind of smooth. And it's under the panhard location. So that's all sealed up. I'm probably gonna, and you guys can offer advice in the comments if this is a bad idea, but what I'm thinking I'm gonna do is, so I gotta trim these off, as well as I'm gonna trim this off just to kind of clean it up a little while also dismantling. So what I think I'm gonna do, put a plate here, but then the opening in the housing, I'm gonna make that the breather. So, you know, just, hey, breather right there. If anyone knows that that's a problem, you know, since it's probably going to be a little bit of time before I get to it, then I'll just tap over here and make it in a similar spot and angle and just take care of that. There's still lots to do, but what I'm going to do now is go through, finish welding everything up, getting it nice and secure, and then we'll at least dismantle this. I mean, the end of this video is not going to yield a, hey, we put the rear axle in the car, because I still need an axle stub, I have no brakes, still need the linkage. Yeah, need a lot of things, but this is just kind of me showing the process that one of the many garage-based wannabe YouTubers who do car stuff goes through. Anyway, here's this. We'll be back with no more zip ties from when I had to hold it up and get the angle right and all that jazz. So yeah, be right back. We've got the rear gear, whatever, out. Partially recording, so yeah. So remember how things are. We've got the little shims, I guess is what they are. And if I remove this just so I can remember, the slope on the shim is going towards the outside. And you can kind of see the markings on it. So the markings press up against the axle tube. And ew. So yeah, that's where we're at. I think that's where we get to tell what my gear is, 373, which I kind of knew, but I was questioning myself if I actually knew. So anyway, yeah, the little slope goes towards the outside on both sides. They are specific to each side, so I have my driver inner axle stuff bag there, and we've got the passenger inner axle thingy there. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna finish dismantling, and yeah, that will probably be the end, but let me at least finish that part. This was pretty easy. 4 bolts. I have them marked in their respective bags, and arrows point outward, point outward. So yeah, let's take that out and then chop off the little bits on the front I don't need. Hooray! And we are back with where I am stopping for today. Got everything welded up. That little sensor thing removed. There we go. And I trimmed down, although I got a little lazy. Didn't get down as far as possible, so I might revisit, but I'm done today. Cut out the bolt holes that were right there. I'd seen somewhere that was able to be removed, and who knows, maybe I'll get around to it and shaping it a little more, but whatever. It's done for now. This thing, if I do more, I'll do that before I get everything cleaned and painted and all that jazz. So yeah, there we are. Booger welds, some good welds. It's a mix, but I feel like I got penetration all the way across, like on both sides, so feeling pretty good. Hopefully, once I finally get around to putting everything together, putting in the car, it actually holds up. But when you're not pushing huge amounts of power, should be okay. But anywho, thanks for watching. Have a good day. And if you have any advice, tips, tricks, yada yada, feel free to leave them below. Bye-bye.